I have discovered the path to liberation from suffering. These words, spoken by Siddhartha Gautama after a night of profound realization beneath the Bodhi tree, resonate with a clarity that transcends time. This moment marked not only the birth of the Buddha but the dawn of a spiritual awakening that would challenge centuries of suffering. He emerged from the shadows of ignorance into the light of wisdom, forever altering the course of human thought and experience. In a world steeped in turmoil and suffering, Siddhartha Gautama was born into privilege, shielded from the harsh realities that lurked beyond the palace walls of Kapilavastu. His father, King Suddhodana, determined to shield his son from the sorrows of life, surrounded him with luxury. Lavish banquets, exquisite gardens, and the finest tutors sought to nurture a life of opulence and comfort. However, outside the gates of his sheltered existence lay a world riddled with pain, sickness, old age, and death awaited him, unseen yet palpable. As he ventured beyond the confines of his existence, Siddhartha encountered the harsh truths of the human condition. An old man, frail and weary, revealed the inevitability of aging. A sick man in torment laid bare the nature of suffering. A corpse, lifeless and devoid of spirit, confronted him with the finality of death. Each sight pierced through the veil of illusion, awakening within him a deep unrest. Beyond the palace walls lay a world steeped in suffering and sorrow, he realized. This awakening ignited a relentless pursuit for answers, compelling him to abandon his life of luxury. Driven by a sense of compassion for the suffering of others, Siddhartha embarked on a journey that would lead him to the heart of enlightenment. Siddhartha traveled far and wide, crossing borders and traversing wild landscapes, each step taking him deeper into his quest for understanding. His heart, once encased in the luxuries of the palace, was now wide open, yearning to absorb the lessons that life had to offer. As he wandered through bustling villages and serene valleys, he encountered a myriad of individuals, each grappling with their own forms of suffering. Conversations with the wise, the poor, and the desperate enriched his insights, tying together the threads of existence that united all beings. His journey led him to meet ascetics who renounced all worldly pleasures in a rigorous pursuit of self-denial and spiritual enlightenment. Siddhartha was initially drawn to these austere practices, believing that by starving the body, one could attain a higher state of consciousness. He joined them in their severe disciplines, going days without food and enduring extreme hardships. Yet, as the days turned into weeks, he found himself deteriorating, his body frail and weakened. He soon realized that this approach was not the answer. The path of extreme self-mortification did not lead to enlightenment. Instead, it brought him closer to the brink of despair and death. This realization was a profound turning point. Siddhartha began to reflect on his experiences more deeply. He understood that just as indulging in luxury had its pitfalls, so too did the life of self-denial. It was a duality that he had not yet reconciled. With that epiphany, he abandoned the ascetic life and sought a more balanced approach. Gathering what little strength he had left, he made his way to the banks of the river Naranjana, where he sat beneath a tree, now known as the Bodhi tree, resolved to meditate until he found the answers he sought. Days turned into nights as Siddhartha immersed himself in deep meditation, confronting the fears and desires that had long governed his life. Here, he faced the shadows of his past, the tangled web of attachments that had caused him suffering. He encountered visions that tested his resolve. A parade of temptations danced before him, whispering false promises of worldly satisfaction and success. Yet, silently he stood firm, focusing on the breath of life and the rhythm of the universe around him. As he remained seated, the winds whispered tales of the universe's vastness, and the stars twinkled with ancient wisdom. The moment stretched infinitely, blurring the lines between time and existence. This was a sacred confrontation, a battle not merely against the external forces surrounding him, but against the inner demons that tugged at his consciousness. Each thought of desire, each flicker of fear, was an enemy to be vanquished in his pursuit of clarity. On the night of the full moon, Siddhartha's relentless dedication bore fruit. As the moon bathed the earth in its silver light, he experienced the profound awakening known as enlightenment. In an instant, everything he had sought coalesced into a singular realization: life was interconnected, woven together by the threads of compassion and understanding. He realized that suffering was not merely an individual plight but a collective experience shared across humanity. With this newfound insight, Siddhartha understood the Four Noble Truths, the core of his teachings: that life is inherently full of suffering, that desire is the root cause of suffering, that the cessation of suffering is achievable, and that there is a path leading to that cessation. This path, which he named the Eightfold Path, became the framework for understanding the way to inner peace and compassion towards oneself and others. Emerging from his meditation, Siddhartha was no longer the sheltered prince, but the Buddha, the awakened one. His heart swelled with a deep compassion for all living beings, each stroke of suffering etched in shared humanity resonating within him. With conviction, he understood that the answers he sought were not only for himself but for all who suffered. After several days of contemplation beneath the Bodhi tree, the Buddha felt compelled to share his insights. He ventured forth, determined to help others navigate the tumultuous waters of existence. His first destination was Sarnath, where he found 5 ascetics, companions from his earlier journey of self-denial. They were astonished to see him, but their surprise turned to skepticism as he approached them with his message of the middle way, an approach that avoided the extremes of indulgence and denial. His words flowed like a gentle stream, cutting through the dense fog of their doubt. He spoke of the Eightfold Path, outlining its principles: right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Each of these elements intertwined to form a comprehensive guide to living a life grounded in compassion and wisdom. At first, the ascetics were reluctant to accept his teachings. They were imprisoned in the ideologies that had once bound Siddhartha. Yet, as he shared the essence of compassion and understanding, their hearts began to thaw. They felt the weight of their burdens lighten, and hope blossomed anew within them. One by one, they embraced the teachings of the Buddha, becoming his first disciples, eager to share the path of enlightenment with others who suffered. Siddhartha's journey was just beginning, but with every step, he embodied the heart of compassion, compassion not only for the suffering of others but for himself as well, acknowledging that the path to enlightenment is a shared journey, one where understanding transcends ignorance and love dissolves the barriers of suffering. As Siddhartha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, a profound stillness enveloped him, a silence that echoed the very essence of existence. It was here, in the heart of the night, that he faced his greatest adversary, Mara, the embodiment of fear, desire, and doubt. An unsettling chill crept through the air, heavy with the weight of his past and the shadows of his mind. Mara emerged, attempting to unearth every fear Siddhartha had ever harbored, every desire that had once consumed him. The spectre of self-doubt began to whisper insidiously, enticing him to abandon his quest for truth. Yet, in that intimate space of stillness, Siddhartha found a reservoir of strength he had never known existed. In the stillness of the night, he overcame fear, desire, and doubt. With every fiber of his being, he recognized the transient nature of these illusions, the way they tethered him to a cycle of suffering. In that moment, Siddhartha's awakening ignited a flame within him, illuminating the darkness that had once clouded his vision. The realization dawned that enlightenment was not a distant goal, but rather a state of being he could access through the embrace of compassion, first for himself, and then for all beings. As Mara unleashed waves of temptation, Siddhartha stood firm, unwavering, embodying the truth he had realized, that liberation comes not through the avoidance of pain, but through the full acceptance and understanding of it. Each challenge he faced became a stepping stone, paving the way toward his ultimate transformation. The thick veils of ignorance began to lift, revealing a profound clarity. At the zenith of this internal battle, Siddhartha's heart opened wider than he had ever imagined. He felt the interconnectedness of all life, the shared suffering that binds humanity together. An overwhelming surge of compassion flowed through him, not just toward those who sought solace but also toward himself, as he recognized the struggles he had borne on his journey. In that moment, he became the Buddha, the awakened one, and a serene triumph washed over him. He opened his eyes to a new dawn, not only for himself but for all beings. This pivotal moment beneath the Bodhi tree marked the beginning of a new era, an invitation to others to step onto the path of enlightenment. With the deep understanding that compassion is the heart of this journey, Siddhartha prepared to share his insights with the world, ready to guide others out of suffering and into the light of awareness. As the teachings of the Buddha spread across the ages, they left behind a legacy rich in compassion, mindfulness, and understanding. His insights on suffering and the path to liberation resonated not just in the minds of those who first heard them, but they echoed through the heart of humanity, offering guidance and solace to countless generations. The Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path serve as timeless beacons, illuminating the way for anyone seeking peace amidst chaos. In modern times, the relevance of Buddha's teachings has intensified as we grapple with the complexities of our fast-paced, often fragmented lives. The very essence of his message encourages us to cultivate awareness in a world that constantly pulls us in different directions. Meditation, once seen as a practice for monks, is now embraced by people from all walks of life. In a society overwhelmed by stress, it offers a refuge, a chance to reconnect with ourselves and find a semblance of calm. The principles of compassion that the Buddha espoused resonate profoundly today, reminding us that empathy and kindness are not just noble aspirations but fundamental necessities for a harmonious existence. The Buddha's legacy is also apparent in social justice movements, where his teachings inspire advocates for change. In a world where inequality and suffering continue to pervade, the call to action remains strong. His notion of interconnectedness reminds us that the well-being of one is inherently tied to the well-being of all. This realization fuels our collective responsibility to uplift those who are marginalized, emphasizing the importance of compassion in our interactions. Moreover, the teachings on non-attachment and impermanence invite us to rethink our relationship with material possessions and success. In a culture that often equates worth with wealth and status, the Buddha's wisdom encourages us to look beyond the surface and find meaning in experiences and connections. It prompts us to reflect on what truly matters in our lives. As we absorb the depths of his teachings, we are called to integrate them into our daily lives. Each moment presents an opportunity to practice compassion towards ourselves and others. Whether it's through kind words, a listening ear, or simply showing up for someone in need, these small acts ripple outwards, nurturing a more compassionate world. Now, as we draw this exploration to a close, it's essential to pause and reflect. The path to enlightenment is not merely a historical journey marked by Siddhartha's life but a living, breathing framework for our own. How can we embody the principles of compassion and mindfulness in our own lives? How can we respond to suffering, both within ourselves and in the world around us, with understanding and love? The Buddha invites us to engage deeply with these questions. Each of us has the potential to shine a light in the darkness of confusion and despair. In every interaction, we can choose to act from a place of understanding rather than judgment. As we navigate our lives, let us remember that enlightenment is not an endpoint, but a continuous journey towards greater awareness, compassion, and acceptance. So I urge you to pause and ponder, how can the teachings of the Buddha inspire you to live a life of greater empathy? How can they transform your relationships, your approach to challenges, and your inner dialogue? Let us carry forth his message in our hearts, allowing it to guide us toward a more compassionate existence, for ourselves and for all beings. The journey may be long, but each step taken with intention and love brings us closer to a world filled with harmony and understanding.